every discussion, I think, of the Saratoga meet so far, not just this weekend, has to begin with what happened with Maple Leaf Mel on Saturday in the test stakes. I'm sure you've seen it, but if you haven't seen it or heard about it, Maple Leaf Mel, who was undefeated, New York bred, named after her trainer, Melanie Giddings. The two were very, very close. There was a great Naira feature about them before the race. She was about to win the test and stay 6 for 6 and undefeated, and she was much the best. And she unfortunately broke down a couple of strides before the wire. Now, I'm going to toss it to John in just a second because he was there, and that was like, I was just, just to be selfish, I was very thankful that I wasn't there for that, because that's honestly the worst thing I've ever seen in racing. Like, it was, and considering the context, considering the horse, considering the 40,000+ people there were at Saratoga that day, beautiful Saturday, Whitney Day. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. And there's no timeline. There's no timeline that you have to be able to grieve over things like this. It affects everybody very, very deeply. But I know it affected the people that were there that day the most. John, tell me about that experience.
Yeah, and Joe, we were lucky in the sense that our credentials allowed us to get into the paddock for the test because we were in the next stake race. So my dad and I and a few of our friends kind of stood off to the side in the paddock, and because Maple Leaf Mel is owned by Coach Parcells and is a daughter of Cross Traffic, and obviously we have a great affinity for Cross Traffic. I wanted to see her up close and personal because I had never laid eyes on her, and of course she was a beautiful filly, and like you said, was 10 yards away from winning. And there's an old superstition in racing about how you never celebrate until you pass the wire, and I never really understood that because sometimes horses get caught at the wire, but I've never in 40 years seen witnessed either on tape or live a horse that was going to win a Grade 1, and what happened to her going down, and horses are flight animals. So even when she went down, I'm not going to get too graphic, but she tried to get up and run more, and couldn't. And I've never ever heard 40,000 people hush like it was at the racetrack. You could hear a pin drop all throughout the course and the stands. And we were in the next race, and even Joe, even talking about it right now, like there's a lump in my throat. It feels like somebody kicked me in the stomach. It's horrifying, and it almost doesn't matter how good she was. Obviously that adds to the story, and the fact that it was a Grade 1, and so many firsts that were going to occur for that potential win. But it was hard. It was hard to be in the paddock. It was hard to be there and witness it. And I didn't even own the horse, but just as a fellow owner, my heart went out to them. And it also changed the way we thought about things, Joe. We had a whole strategy to tell our rider for Web Slinger, and instead of telling him the strategy, we just said, come home safe. And that's not necessarily something that we ever thought about. I mean, you always want your animal, your athlete, and your jockey to come back safely, but you never think it's going to happen in such a prestigious race at Saratoga, which is such a prestigious racetrack. But it bothered my dad and I enough where we opted not to buy any yearlings at the sale because we just didn't have it. We just didn't have it in us to walk around and look and shortlist and look at a lot of yearlings. It's just the joy of pre-sale and everything like that just kind of left us and greatly affected us. And I'm not saying that we were noble in doing that. I think more Brendan Walsh and the owners, and Tyler Gaffleone, the rider of the horse that won, were noble in not accepting the trophy, not having a celebration in the winner's circle. And to me, that was just incredible. That's how much it affected everybody. They won a Grade 1 race, and they just didn't feel like it was the right time to celebrate.
Yeah. And, that's something I'm going to get to, which is the outpouring of support, particularly I think we can throw up a photo or a tweet of this on the screen right now. The Brennan Walsh and his assistant trainer brought the garland of flowers that is given to the test winner to Maple Leaf Mel's stall, and that shit broke my heart, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that empty stall with the flowers hanging on them, like her purple ball that she would play with, and all the pictures and everything. Like,
Yeah.
that shit wrecked me, man.
Yeah. And it was a really classy move by them to do it.